Someday our Lord will return to take the faithful home, where we'll sing and praise and thank Him because He made that walk up that hill. The walk up that hill was a walk of love, opening the gates of heaven above, for souls lost in darkness in this old world. Jesus made that walk up that hill.
Good to see everybody here this evening. I want to take the time out to thank you for being here tonight. As I said last night, I know that several of you have secular jobs that you work at. And at the end of a day's working, you're probably very tired. And then you run home and you eat and you get dressed, and some of you even driven to some distance just to be here tonight. I want to thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. And I hope that as you're driving home tonight, that you'll be thinking to yourself that you're glad you came, that the lesson will be spiritually edifying for you, and will be worthy of the effort you put forth just to be here tonight. As you can see from the title of the lesson this evening, we're going to be talking about spiritual collateral damage and spiritual collateral blessings. In Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verse 18, the Word of God says, "Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good." We need to recognize that whenever we as free will beings make a conscious choice to go into sin, it is not only going to affect us, it is going to affect people around us. Sometimes I hear people saying and thinking, well, it doesn't matter what I do because it's only affecting me. That's not true. No man is an island unto himself. There are people around you. There are people that are connected to you. You have family. You have people that you know. And you need to realize your actions are going to affect them. When we talk about collateral damage, I have a definition for you here so you'll understand what it is. It is a general term for deaths, injuries, or other damage on an unintended target. As I told you, sometimes people, when they're sinning, they think, well, it's only going to affect me. But their choice will have damage upon other individuals. They don't intend for it to hurt them, but it does, unfortunately, hit them and damage them. And so what we're going to be doing tonight, we're going to be studying the spiritual collateral damage. In Exodus chapter 20 and verse 5, it says, "You shall not bow down to them nor serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me." Here God is trying to explain to the children of Israel the spiritual collateral damage of their choices to go into idolatry. That if they were going to choose to go into idolatry, it wasn't just going to affect them, and even when God did punish them, it wasn't just going to affect that generation alone. But it was going to be punishment and consequences that would come upon 3 to 4 generations out. So please realize that first of all, when you choose to go into sin, the people that are the closest to you are going to be the ones that are going to get hit first and sometimes the hardest. And that is going to be your family. The text here is talking about your children. When I think of this, I think of people sometimes who have the idea, well, it's not hurting anybody if I don't come to services. It's not hurting anybody if I leave the Lord. Well, let me ask you this. How's that going to affect your children if you leave the Lord? How's that going to affect your grandchildren? How's that going to affect everybody that comes from you till the Lord comes again? How many people are going to have difficulty trying to find their way back to God through Christ because you chose to leave Him? So please realize if you choose to leave God, it is not just going to be affecting you. It's going to be affecting everybody that comes from you till the Lord comes again. You're going to be having damage in their lives because of your choice. Going further with this, 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 6. Your boasting is not good. Do you not know that a little leaven leavens the whole lump? You take a little piece of yeast, you put it in a lump of dough, and what is immediately closest to that yeast, what immediately comes in contact with that yeast, is going to be the first that is going to be affected by it. But it doesn't stop there. It keeps going out further and further and further and further until the entire lump of dough is affected by the yeast. Please recognize that that is what sin does in our lives. In our sin, we have the power to destroy much good in people's lives that haven't even been born yet. To where when we choose to go into sin, we are affecting them, and the leaven leavens the whole lump. Number says in chapter 16, 24 to 26. Say to the congregation, get away from the dwelling of Korah.
Just when it's over.
I'm going to go and read the outline right now. Then Moses rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him, and he spoke to the congregation, saying, depart, please, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest, notice this, lest you be swept away with all their sin. If you don't know the text here, Korah and Dathan and several of the elders of Israel are questioning the authority of Moses and Aaron, and God tells the children of Israel, you need to remove yourself from the tents, Korah. Get away from there. Because God was about to punish them. And if you're close to the tents, you're going to be swept away in their destruction. Do you see the concept and the idea of being close to someone who's about to be punished by God? Collateral damage happens to people that are close to you. You're familiar with the text in the New Testament. It's not on the sermon outline. 1 Corinthians 15, 33, I believe. Do not be deceived. Evil companions corrupt good morals. If you're going to hang with individuals that are going to go into sin, guess what? You will go in with them and the destruction will come upon you. We need to be careful about sometimes people we're choosing to be close to and being around, realizing their influence upon us. And the sin that they choose to go into is going to spill over on us, and we will find ourselves being destroyed and damaged because of us being close to them. So you have to be conscious of not only who you are close to, but be aware of that your actions and your choices are going to affect others. And if you choose to sin, they are going to be damaged and hurt by your choice to sin. Just think about this. When you choose to get a divorce, do you think it hurts the children? Do you think it hurts your spouse? Do you think it hurts your grandchildren? You have to realize your choices like this hurt more than you. If you choose to use drugs, if you choose to get drunk, you need to realize it's not all just about you. You're hurting your family, you're hurting your spouse, you're hurting your children, and then people that come from you, even in future generations, will be hurt indirectly because of your choices. Your choices are not just going to affect you. Let that sink in. If you choose to sin, you're going to damage and hurt multitudes of people. Some of them you may never even see or know. 1 Corinthians 5:6. Your boasting is not good. You know the little leaven leavens the whole lump. As I told you, it resonates out. It doesn't stop with me. It goes out and then further and further and further. This is a good way to think about it. You take a stone and you cast it into the pond. What happens? It makes ripples, doesn't it? And the ripples, they start right there where the stone goes in. And then they go out, and they go out, and as they go out, the ring gets, guess what? Bigger and bigger, and it goes all the way to the shore. Think of your choices in that way. That when you're choosing to go into sin, yes, it's going to hit those that are closest to you first, but it doesn't stop there. A lot of times we think, well, my bad choices will stop soon, but the consequences of them will just be to me. No, no, no. It's not going to be just to you. It will go out further and further and further as it goes further and further and further out into generations, and the generations multiply. You're hitting more and more people's lives. And an amazing thing sometimes you don't understand. As the ripples of your choices go further out, the waves don't get smaller, sometimes they get bigger. And you bring massive destruction into the lives of multitudes of people whom you never even know. Please realize that. One sinner can destroy much good, not just in his immediate life, but the lives of those close to him, and then it resonates and ripples out into generations in all kinds of directions. Ecclesiastes 10:1 says, dead flies putrefy the perfumer's ointment, and causes it to give off a foul odor, so does a little folly to one respected for wisdom and honor. A man or woman who most people look up to and think of as someone who's honorable, someone who's wise, someone you look up to and think that man or that woman, they're a Christian. I can follow their example. When you choose to go into sin, you need to realize it's not just throwing a pebble in the pond, it's throwing a great big stone in the pond. And the waves are going to be bigger. And there's going to be more destruction coming from your choices because of your potential influence upon so many good people around you. The text talks about the perfumer's ointment. Again, it's kind of like the leaven in the lump. The perfumer's ointment, normally it's good, it's a blessing. But you just get one fly in it, and he stays in there, it putrefies all of it. It spreads through it and ruins it all. It's just like the leaven leavening the lump. It spreads out. It goes further and further and further out and affects all kinds of people whom you never even see or know. But now when you go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 5, he says, there's an evil I have seen under the sun, an error proceeding from the ruler. We're talking about one man having the power to destroy much good. And then you go to the man who's respected for wisdom and honor. Now you're talking about the ruler. A man who is in control of a country, a king, someone in power, someone in control. That person, when error proceeds from them, wow, you're not throwing a big stone, you're throwing a boulder into the pond. And it's going to make massive waves, and it's going to make humongous waves into generations in the future. Let me give you a prime example of this so you can understand what I'm talking about. 1 Kings 11, 4 through 8. For it was so, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned his heart after other gods. And his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and did not fully follow the Lord, as did his father David. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and on the hill that is east of Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the people of Ammon. A man who's a ruler, a man who's the king, chooses to go into idolatry. And he builds temples for Molech and Chemosh and Ashtaroth on the hill east of Jerusalem. Because the ruler chose to sin in this way, God punished his future generations by tearing away 10 of the tribes of the north, leaving only Judah and Benjamin for Rehoboam. And you think about those 10 tribes when they were torn away with Jeroboam leading them, boom, it didn't take long and he went into sin and built temples for Dan and Bethel with golden calves. And those temples that Jeroboam built became the thorn in the side for Israel all the way down to the destruction in Assyria. You think about all the individuals now, though, in Judah that were led into sin because of Solomon's choice. You understand, in the worship of Molech and Chemosh, you have child human sacrifices. That's what it's talking about when it says they made their children pass through the fire. They're giving their children as living sacrifices to their idol. Solomon built those temples. You think about the multitudes of Judah that went to those temples and worshiped there. And Solomon built them. And later on came Manasseh. He decided he was going to go deep into idolatry. He practiced every form of idolatry you can possibly imagine. He had his children, the king's children, going into the fire of Molech and Chemosh. And because he led Judah into idolatry and sin, God led Judah into the Babylonian captivity. All because of Solomon. Do you see it? The boulder thrown into the pond. And it makes humongous waves. But the waves don't get smaller. As they go out and are hitting more and more people's lives, the waves get bigger and cause massive destruction and souls being lost right and left. There's no telling how many millions of souls end up being lost because of one man's choice to sin. You see it now? If you can see that with Solomon, see it with yourself. And recognize your choices to sin are not just going to damage your soul and your life alone. You are going to hurt those closest to you, and then it will resonate out, and it will amplify as it goes further out. The way it's put in Hosea 8 and 7, they sow the wind, and they reap the whirlwind. You see, you sow the wind, but when it comes back to you, it's a tornado. You throw the pebble in the pond, when the wave gets to the shore, it's a hurricane. That's amplification of consequences in future generations of your choices today. It doesn't just resonate outward, it amplifies and gets bigger and more destructive. They sow the wind, but in the end, it comes back at them as a tornado. Now then, let's talk about the other side. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 7. The righteous man walks in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. We've talked about the man who chooses to go into sin, how much damage he can do to those around him and others in the future. Now then, let's talk about the man who chooses to live righteousness. When you choose to live a righteous life, it is not only going to be blessings for you in your life and the life to come in the future with God, but it is going to be blessings upon, look at this, your children, those closest to you, your family. When you choose to honestly live the Christian life, by that choice, your choice to be a righteous Christian man or woman will bless your children, your husband, your wife, your grandchildren. Those that are immediately closest to you will be blessed first because of your choice to be a righteous Christian. Deuteronomy 12:28 says, observe and obey all these words which I command you, that it may go well with you and your children after you. Look at the last word here, forever. Isn't that beautiful? You choose to obey the commands of God, it'll go well with you. The way Paul said in writing to the Holy Spirit to Timothy is godliness is profitable in all things. Having promised of the life that now is and of that which is to come. You live a godly life now. You're going to be blessed in this life. And in the end, you get to be with God in heaven. But look at the rest of this. And then it goes and it blesses your children. But the very last word again shows you the rippling effect going out into other generations. The last word is forever. Listen to me, folks. This is what we're wanting. by our choice to be Christians, we immediately influence and affect our children, then our grandchildren, and our great-great-grandchildren, and all of those that emanate from us till the Lord comes again. That all of them are going to ultimately, hopefully, come to the Lord and have their lives blessed, and then it will start spreading out from them and all of their future families. Have you ever done a genealogy study and just kind of got lost in it after a while? It's just because it keeps on going, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm kin to everybody. You're all my cousin. Forever. You need to let it sink in. The life that now is, and that which is to come. The blessings of our choice of righteousness will resonate for eternity. Let that sink in. Not just till the Lord comes again. Because when He comes again, that's when eternal life begins with God in heaven. And so the blessing will resonate for all eternity, forever. Brethren, let that sink in. The impact of your choice today to be a Christian man or woman can affect multitudes of people that you will never see or know. And one day, hopefully, they will be in heaven because of your choice today. Let's go further with this. Deuteronomy 6:7 says, teach your children. Teach them diligently to your children. You should talk with them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. I got a question for you parents and grandparents. What do you want for your children and your grandchildren more than anything? I got one simple answer to that. I want them to go to heaven. And if my children walk by their own faith, it doesn't get any better than that. The way the Apostle John put it in 3 John 4, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. It doesn't get any better than that. But for that reality to come to pass, we parents have to seize the moments with our children and teach them while we can. Your children need you spending time with them, opening up the Bible, reading to them, reading them Bible stories, doing memory verses with them, praying with them, talking to them about God. Spend time with your children, planting the seed of the Word of God in their hearts. If you can just bring your child to God, you need to realize that will resonate and amplify in future generations. If you can just teach your children. So please, live the Christian life at home. Spend time with your children. Look at this verse here. We're dealing with agrarians. We're dealing with farmers. And they were seizing the moments when they were waking up in the morning before they went to the fields to talk to their kids. And when they were sitting there eating breakfast, they would talk to their kids. When they came in, they were eating supper in the evening, they would talk to their kids. When they were going to sleep at night, they would sit there and talk to their kids. Turn off the screens, turn off the televisions, turn off the video games, and talk to your children. Please, seize the moments with them. Because before you know it, they're going to be gone. So you've got to seize the moments while you can to teach them. Look at this next verse with me. 2 Timothy 1:5. You all know this. When I call to remembrance the genuine faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded is in you also. Who are we talking about here? Timothy. It starts first with his grandma, Lois, Eunice, his mother. His grandmother influenced his mother, and then his grandmother and his mother influenced Timothy. And you think about how many people Timothy's lives, how many lives Timothy touched and taught. And it goes back to his grandmother. You see, that's spiritual, collateral blessings. Instead of damage, it's blessings. Because of your choice to live and teach Christianity to your children, it resonates to your grandkids, and then all of a sudden they're touching all of people's lives, and it just keeps on branching out. as it goes further out, the ripples don't die down. They get bigger. They resonate and amplify even more. Psalm 37, 25 to 27. I've been young and now I'm old. Yet I have not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his descendants begging bread. He is ever merciful and lends, and his descendants are blessed, departed from evil and do good, and dwell forevermore. The man who forsakes sin will never be forsaken by God. The man who chooses to live a righteous life will never be forsaken by God. And not only will he never be forsaken, but his descendants will be blessed. And again, there's that last word, forevermore. It keeps on going on. Let me show you this again, just some more examples. Ecclesiastes 11, verses 1 through 2. Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days. Give a serving to 7, and also to 8, for you do not know what evil will be on the earth. Okay. The idea of casting your bread upon the water is not taking your food and throwing it out in the water. He's talking about sharing your food with people. Sharing your blessings with other people. And you share it with 6 and you share it with 7. And the amazing thing is, guess what? As you're giving out the blessings, sometime in the future, because you know what bad is coming, if something bad happens in your life, all of a sudden, all the good that you've been giving out, it all comes back. You see, you sow the wind, you reap the whirlwind. You sow blessings. The blessings, when they come back, are multiplied and amplified. Proverbs 11:11. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. You remember in the Old Testament, Joseph, and being a slave in Potiphar's household? Joseph was a godly man, a righteous man. And because of Joseph, God blessed Potiphar's entire household. You see, Potiphar was close to Joseph. Potiphar was somehow connected to Joseph. And because he was close and connected, when the blessings were being poured on Joseph, they came over close to Joseph. What you see here in this text, though, is because you have a righteous man living in a city, the blessings that come upon him extend all the way up to the entire city. Everybody in the city is being blessed because of his choices to live a righteous life. You see, the city is experiencing spiritual collateral blessings by a man living a righteous life. Let's go to the next step. Proverbs 14:34. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. I'm a rather patriotic person. I love this country, I literally do. So I ask this question: what's the best thing I can do for my country, for future generations? Go ahead, vote, but pray for our country. Prayer is more powerful. But you want to know what the best things you can do for your country, for your nation, is to honestly be a Christian. Love your family. Teach your children. Keep God at the center of your family. If you will choose to live the Christian life and have God at the center of your life and the center of your family, you need to realize that will resonate out and be a blessing even for the entire nation. The downfall of our nation will be because of the downfall of the family. So the blessing upon the nation will be because of righteous individuals and righteous families. It starts with you and your choices about how you're going to live. And it will go out and touch people whom you will never, ever know. Mark 4:30-32. Then he said, to what shall we liken the kingdom of God? Or with what parable shall we picture it? It is like a mustard seed, which when it is sown on the ground, is smaller than all the seeds on the earth. But when it is sown, it grows up and becomes greater than all herbs, and shoots out large branches so that the birds of the air may nest under its shade. The mustard seed. They're a little bitty thing. But if you take it and you throw it out on the ground, when it starts growing, all of a sudden it gets bigger and bigger, and then it starts branching out and becomes a great big old bush and becomes large enough for birds to make their nest in it. What he's trying to tell us here is the impact and the influence for good and future generations you can have if you will just sow the seed of the gospel. That's why I was telling you earlier, if you can just bring one person to Christ, and even that one person is only your child, or your husband, or your wife, you need to realize that it will branch out from there. All of us here are branches on somebody's mustard plant. Somebody taught you. And the person who taught them, somebody taught them. Let me show you something here. This is a picture of Dale Smelser's family. Some of you may know the Smelsers. I had the blessing of working in Searcy, Arkansas with Herbert Smelser as one of our elders. I'm just going to tell to you the story of Ethel Smelser. Ethel Smelser worshipped up in Michigan many years ago. She fell in love with Herbert Smelser. He was not a member of the church. She was very faithful, and over time, through her influence, she was able to convert her husband. They had 3 sons. 2 of their sons became preachers, and 2 of them became elders. Those 3 sons had grandchildren, the grandchildren that came from them. 5 of the grandchildren that came from those 3 sons ended up being preachers. 1 was an elder and 1 was a deacon. And then the great-grandchildren, and this is Dale Smelser's family right here, just Dale's family. The great-grandchildren through the son of Dale, 9 out of 10 are Christians already. The 10th is only 13. He'll probably obey the gospel later on. 2 great-granddaughters are married to preachers. And all the children, the descendants of Ethel and Herbert Smelser, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, there's only been 1 divorce in the entire family. While Ethel Smelser was in Michigan, she had befriended another girl there in the same congregation. Her name was Olivia Bunting. Olivia Bunting, her husband was not a member of the church. She converted him. He became an elder. They had 2 sons, Tom and Bob. Both of them became preachers. Tom Bunting, his son, is a preacher. And Don's sons, Tim and Dan, are both preachers. Bob's children and grandchildren also includes elders and preachers. 2 girls that worshiped in the congregation together in Michigan. They convert their husband, and then they and their husband convert the children. And then it just keeps on branching out. And you think about how many seeds these men and women have sown around the world. We did missionary work in Czechoslovakia. You know who went in first? It was the Smelsers. Smells from the planting congregations every turn. And it all goes back to these 2 women. Do you see what I'm trying to show you? I'm trying to show you that if you will choose to be Christians, the real deal Christians, live righteousness by faith in your life, try to influence your children, just teach your children. Try to influence your husband, your wife, bring them to the Lord. You may think, well, it's going to stop there. Not. That's the whole point I'm trying to get across to you. It doesn't stop there. It starts going out from there because you're going to have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And as they come to the Lord, it just keeps on branching out and branching out and branching out. And there will be people in heaven who you will never know, and they didn't know your name, but they will be there because of you. Because you were sowing mustard seeds as you lived in this world. And did you know this? God's word does not return to him void. If you're sowing the seed and you're watering the word, God will give the increase. So if in your entire life, there's only one person that you can bring to the Lord because somehow, some way, you encourage them and influence them to become a Christian or stay a Christian or come home. That choice of righteousness will resonate out and ripple out, and the waves will become bigger and bigger and touch more and more lives whom you will never see nor know. And it will resonate till the Lord comes again and then beyond for eternity. So please understand this. Choices today are not just affecting you alone. Your choices will first touch those closest to you, whether good or bad, whether damage or blessing. So please, choose to be Christians. You will be blessed in this life and in that to come. And those who are closest to you will be blessed because of your choices. And then it really starts going out from there. And it just gets bigger and bigger. You have no idea how many lives you have touched already. Or how many more. So please, choose to be a Christian. Choose to live righteousness. Choose to sow the seed. I appreciate that attention. If there's anybody here this evening who is not a member of the one body, if you honestly believe that Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, and if you're willing to openly confess that faith, and then motivated by that faith to make a great commitment of repentance, that is to put off the old man, put on the new man, and follow the word of God by faith in your life. If you're willing to make that great commitment, we'll be glad to assist you and baptize you into the one body for the remission of your sin. If you're a child of God, there's sin between you and your God that you have not dealt with, please have the godly sorrow enough to deal with it. Our God is gracious. He is merciful. He is willing to forgive. Take the sin to Him. Confess it and turn from it. Your brethren here will pray for you. They will pray with you. They'll do the best they can to try to encourage you and strengthen you. If you are subject to the gospel call in any way, let us know. Always stand and sing the psalms.
Someday our Lord will return to take